You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you thinking you are the mind. You, as a spirit, it only leads into you believing you're the flesh or fleshly fluid in some way, because the mind become flesh and things. The mind create fleshly fluids. So the mind bend in on itself. So you're constantly creating new awarenesses and new minds, and the mind that die become the fleshly fluid. And you can have spiritual death when you trap yourself in these things. So you had a spiritual death to be born here. This is what the Bible is actually talking about. You know what I'm saying? You had a spiritual death to even be born here, because you got trapped into a natural selection of mind state with your own, found parents that had the same ones, found parents that had the same similar desires, light forms, went into their world, and then you believed that you was that thought and that specific feeling, and that's your name and you and all that shit, and then you became living in their world, and then that mind became a fleshly fluid, and then became an organ. So as a spirit, you're trapped in that mind and that organ. Now as a spirit, you stay producing minds that bend in on itself and become organs or circumstances and situations, and fleshly fluids, adrenalines, new blood flow. This what causes you to age. This what causes you to has a pulse too, because the spirit always expand and contract. So for the most part, this puts you in a situation of understanding encapsulations. And if you are still considering that your spirit is the mind, then you're gonna have the right starting point or a right explanation on how does the spirit die. Because last time I checked, the mind turns into fleshly fluid, and fleshly fluid has an expiration date, and that dies. So if the spirit is shedding, last time I checked, it sheds from the mind also, and that's our first snake. You know what I'm saying? Because the Bible is allegory, and anytime a religious person is trying to speak about it in the context, they're talking about it the way I'm talking about it. But their only argument against me is when they start to look at it in the form of it being a history book, and that's where they fuck up at, because it's anthropomorphizing by default by you coming up with an interpretation in general. You know what I'm saying? Because you are in a human mind. So any interpretation that a human can come up with will be in the context of anthropomorphizing. Now, this is why God told me not to cheat. Because even though I'm Uriel, and I'm in a mind, you know what I'm saying? I still have abilities with this mind to take y'all out of the mind at times. That's why I tell y'all don't be attaching to ancestor, because it's their starting point. When you attach yourself to spiritual predecessor, look at this little baby bird. Little baby bird. Oh, it flew away. Spiritual predecessor. Predecessor mean what was before you. Spiritual means no thing. So getting lost into ancestor, you automatically gonna think your spirit is the mind or the light, which is a form, which is a thing, which expires like I just explained. Another form of demonic energy. That's why 2,000, 4,000 years ago, there was the first lost individuals, piggybacking from the lost individuals years before them. But like I said, when you understand your spirit is no thing in some way, shape, or form, then you're understanding the context of not how to get lost within the mind or the light down here, and you're actually able to look at the light as actually something you have got trapped in some way, shape, or form, and that's how you're able to decipher and look at things the right way. But see, that's what in your spirit is your space, and it separates you from the light. Now I take it a step further, because I live in all these existences. So I take it a step further like this. Humanity always tied the first thing that they discovered was unknown to the spirit. And this is what made them always be wrong. This is why I always say, I don't care what knowledge, ancient knowledge you getting. The first knowledge it was the first wrong one. Because as soon as they try to interpolarize it, that's when it becomes wrong. Because the spirit work in mysterious ways. That's the only way you can understand myself, my story, mystery, other than history and her story, the feminine and masculine. History takes you into externalizing physical history. Her story takes you into internalizing, where it come from, the womb, your feelings and your mind, your womb that bend in on itself to become externalized, so you can see it as fire, water, air, and earth, the way you see it materialize when they interact with each other as elements. But other than that, when you separate that, you understand that your spirit is what created these things. So for the most part, all ancient knowledge is going to get you lost into thinking that your spirit is the light. And then once you think your spirit is the light, you have all kind of false concepts without understanding what we experience in actuality. Light expires. Even scientists say light died in a false way of looking at suns and planets and stars. So if you're getting ready to tell me my spirit is a mind, last time I checked, I kill thoughts, I get rid of thoughts, and if I have a certain thought, it could turn into a fleshly fluid and become adrenaline, whether I'm doing it up in here all the way down to my nutsack. So you get ready to tell me that my spirit can die? I think you got the wrong starting point on what a spirit is. And that's what I be talking about when y'all take these languages and the way we're conceptualizing these things and think you know something about Egypt or Kemet or Christianity or some goddamn shit, because their context of teaching you what these things are is in their way of understanding a hieroglyphic, and the hieroglyphic is pointing to shapes and forms that's beyond what we can physically see at times. So if we're understanding the sun could move from this point to another point, which the sun ain't moving, we're actually rotating to the left on this body of water from Antarctica to the eastern continents. But just understanding the way they're looking at things, then they're looking at that as an actual, like a Greek fucking what's whole Plato form, as there must be a form in our mind that creates opposition. Religious people take that concept and anthropomorphize that. Masons take that concept, create rituals and spells behind that. Kemet took that concept and try to formulate it. You see what I'm saying? So these is all lost men and women, you know what I'm saying, in some way, shape, or form. So it's all the same shit. Don't think Kemet and Greek is different shit. It's the same shit, just with different terms, different words. But if you understand correspondence, you understand and point to the same shit. So the moment somebody say Ma'at, all you gotta say that's Libra. You know what I'm saying? The moment somebody say Israel, all you gotta say is that's the temple, that's Aries. You know what I'm saying? Soon somebody say Sodom and Gomorrah, or if they want to go back to Kemet and Thoth and all that shit, you gotta say that's Mercury. You know what I'm saying? It's the same shit. It's the same shit. You ain't got to get lost. They all pointing to the same shit. So it ain't really motherfuckers copying off motherfuckers. You just got one group that kept their generation, which is the rulerships right now, and then you got all the slaves, and then you got the people who kept their rulership coming up with different ways to keep slaves. So it'd be things to rock y'all to sleep, things to make y'all feel good. Oh, if you pick this much cotton, you get 5 cents. If you come on this shipping boat, you'll have shelter and food. If you come build this shit for it been that. That's how it been. There ain't no switching of civilization or nothing like that. That's how it been. All the way going back to the Berbers before that. That's how it been. These motherfuckers ain't talking about y'all ancestors. They're not even talking about DNA when we be talking about Israelites and shit like that. They not even talking about DNA and all that motherfucking shit. These are virtues. Israel is in the temple. So this is going to be where the sun domain going to be at its highest point. So that'd be your solar plexus, where you see yourself at your most upright point, or when we see the sun at its most upright point and things of that nature. So it's talking about stuff like that and shit. It ain't talking about what other people talk. So Israel is anytime you have a thought or feeling up in the temple. You know what I'm saying? And then you could bring these things down to Jerusalem, to the Jews. You know what I'm saying? That's lost. In the heart chakra, that ain't nothing but a different allegory to the feelings and emotions. How I'm telling y'all, if you want to be Masonic, that's where the ladder at, in the middle of the spine, where the heart having charity, where the woman and the key supposed to be at. If you want to get into motherfucking the China shit, it'll be the golden apple that the dragon ate. You know what I'm saying? That is swallowed and got stuck in the middle of the stomach. If you want to get to the, like, it's the same. It's all the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Do not get lost in none of that shit. Real shit. Motherfucking so it'd be the dragon's head, you know what I'm saying, before it eats the tail. Up here. So once you go down, you're going down in this area, you're going down to Jerusalem. So when you want to understand Hebrew now, as far as spelling, Hebrew, he means de-evolved light. Him, him, you know what I'm saying? Like a person that's into Kemet, they'll know what he mean. And then when we speak in English terms and say him and he and baby boy, for some reason they don't know how to put the 2 and 2 together. It's the same thing. A boy, him, is this different virtues of masculine energy. different sizes of masculine energy. Like how you know how Greeks created the sizing references of light forms when we get alpha, beta, epsilon, you know what I'm saying, zeta, theta, you know what I'm saying, all these beta and all these motherfucking shits, right? It's the same kind of concept when we got the boy. So if Moses became a boy, that is a descendant thought. That's like an only begotten thought concept in a different kind of term or a different kind of concept. You see what I'm saying? So when we start to talk about Hebrew means de-evolved light. So de-evolved light. When we see light as above, so below. This they mind frame. If you don't understand that, you don't even know what I'm talking about because you read too much books and you think you a scholar and you ain't. I ain't got to be a scholar. I kill any person in a debate about Kim and any fucking thing, right? Now look, when you're talking about Hebrew, is de-evolved light. So as above, anytime we see a de-evolved light, that's when we see the sun past 6 p.m. in the afternoon, micro, or when it's fall time and it's getting ready to become winter time, seasonal wise. So that's heat. Now brew, that's you. So that's something opposing 180 degree from when the sun is rising. So a Hebrew is a person that's in their emotions, speculative wise, as below and as above. A person who either worship the moon or a person that's in darkness. Or the representation of darkness below the horizon. You see what I'm saying? So when the sun go down and your beastly natures come out speculative wise, or the damaged individuals who don't know how to rise above themselves as a group of people. They wasn't talking about race. I wasn't talking about race 4,000 years ago. It's a group of people who lights is de-evolved. So they don't know how to bring themselves on a high rise. So anytime we are experiencing nighttime or fall and winter, this will be the as above concept of Hebrew, and as below, it became a teaching of a person who can't bring their beastly natures like Noah's Ark to the horizon of the day, aka become more lighter, not so heavy and depressed in all your emotions and feelings. So the Hebrew people, right, was just the damaged people, the people who were stuck in their emotions in some way, shape, or form. So any story you ever hear about a Hebrew Israelite is going to be just an allegory of damaged motherfuckers. Period. Anything else a person try to put around that is a man or woman's interpretation, and they miss the point. So they get ready to sin because they get ready to say they the real Israelite. They get ready to say that this is a history book. They get ready to say, but the fruit that they bear, all Hebrew Israelites, the fruit that they bear when y'all see them express themselves is a damaged spirit that's in war to be saved and think that their God is coming back. That's it. That's all. All the practical shit, the shit that they think is real, the shit, the DNA, lostness. It's lostness. It's lostness. Anybody could be a Hebrew Israelite. Just go somewhere and act damaged in your emotions. You're a Hebrew Israelite, aka Hebrew. You're below, above the horizon, the horizon above. So when you a Hebrew, you're trying to strive to become above. Go back to the temple. All you gotta do is have thoughts that ain't so emotional and in your fucking feelings. Okay, now you are Israelite. Now you have took the sun and the moonlight, your thought and your feeling, and made it Saturn light, made it practical, made it center. Now you got a blazing star. This is what they're practicing. This is what Kemet and those Egyptians was practicing. I don't know what the fuck these motherfuckers be talking about nowadays. That's indoctrination on the highest level, what people be talking about nowadays, and you got to go to school for 20 years and shit like that to learn some bullshit. Motherfuckers don't know what they talk. The shit be simple. Motherfuckers overcomplicate shit to try to sound intelligent. No, the shit be simple. You'll realize how dumb humanity was real fast on this channel. You can't make up something like, oh, but how they make pyramids and shit like that's some form of intelligence or some goddamn shit. You can't do that on this channel. You can't be like, oh, I went to Africa and I seen that. And like I'm supposed to believe you still know what the fuck you thinking about. Shit, God once upon a time was on Earth and still don't know how to prove to people is real or not. So what the fuck, you a fucking human and you been somewhere that's already created, I'ma believe you. Shut the fuck up. Better motherfucker believe it. This shit ain't shit down here. Motherfuckers ain't shit. But you gotta really understand this is how the game goes. When you really understand it, you understand the hieroglyphics for themselves. So when you start seeing donkeys, birds, staffs, and all this motherfucker shit, you know the correspondence. Staff ain't nothing but a correspondent to masculine energy. Bird ain't nothing but a correspondent to a higher thought form. You know what I'm saying? So that's a as above, so below. You know what I'm saying? So they looked at it like a bird can fly. So they like when you have a flying thought, that ain't so attached to everything of the ground and shit like that. It only comes on the ground for little small things. We end up creating virtues and principles and allegories on how the body don't need much and how we can sacrifice. This us eating like birds, practicing a ritual and spell actually sometimes might burn blood and burn a bird and shed the bird blood as a sacrifice to the gods, to the oversoul of the bird, in order to see that we're given a nature and we're given something that we don't need. And that came into that kind of feast and shit like that. And these was like ancient rituals and practices and shit like that they was doing. That you got men and women nowadays interpretizing into gods and deities and light forms and virtues and principles that never meant that. You see what I'm saying? Where you got Kemet motherfuckers and Egypt and Christianity motherfuckers and shit like that debating and arguing over scholarship and pulling out sources that the sources lead nowhere but someone that they get ready to tell somebody else that you don't need to be listening to. Yet, why is you pulling out them sources telling me some information of someone, and in the very next breath you get ready to tell me I need to listen to your interpretation of it? You're lost. That's the whole concept when a person starts saying, bring out your scriptures, bring out your sources, bring out your fucking shit. So you getting ready to, so you want me to bring out some shit in the very next breath for me to say, no, but listen to my version of it. That's stupid. That's stupid. God ain't never said nothing. It ain't got nothing to do with none of that. You know what should be your book, your source? You know what should be your scripture? Fucking life. A fucking tree. A fucking cloud. A fucking star. That should be your fucking source, motherfucker. Because other than that, if we ain't talking like that, let's have a debate and argument, because I want to discuss who had the sources, who made these books first. What was their source? Last time I checked, their source was a brick, bitch. Their source was a tree, bitch. Their source was the body, bitch. Get the fuck out my face. I want to learn like that. I don't want to learn like you. I don't want to be no scholarship. I don't want to go get 1,000 books. I want to learn how the motherfuckers who created a book in the first place, I want to learn what they learned. And God told me that they started looking at a tree and started looking at clouds and evaporation and water cycles and shit. I don't need no more information from no bitch ass human. Real shit. And that's what lectures should be about. But other than that, you got motherfuckers taking knowledge right now and remixing it and having women being submissive in areas that they don't necessarily need to be submissive in, to the point that she got to be on her deathbed, get ready to die, just to think like, damn, what the fuck was I being submissive to? And then on the flip side, you got men out here utilizing knowledge to be seen a certain way. So we got 1,000 Jesus Christs out here. We got 1,000 Muhammads out here, 1,000 Moseses out here, but walking contradictions. The first person to tell you that they ain't Moses. The first person to tell you that so they channeling now? Fucking demon. You just using it for you to be seen. So you ain't Solomon, but you need 72 wives. You need polygamy, whatever the fuck you call it. Okay. Oh, you ain't got Jesus sandals. Oh, but the woman shouldn't preach, and you need to be the one to tell her that, being a man, huh? Oh, but you ain't Jesus. Okay. But you ain't the one with Jesus sandals on. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We don't know what Muhammad was thinking and none of that shit, though. Oh, but you get ready to tell us his will. Oh, but you ain't Muhammad. Oh, okay, I get it. You see what I'm saying? It's all throatness. That asks me, am I Uriel? Yup, now. Now. You know what I'm saying? It be thrown. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling y'all, everybody thrown down here. Everybody thrown. Don't be listening. Just don't be listening to no chemistries. You know what I'm saying? Religious thrown. You know what I'm saying? Bible thumpers and stuff like that. None of them know what they talk about, because none of them even know their own spirit. They all think they spirit the light. Don't go no further than that.